Sit back and take a ride. Take a ride. Pink panties coming to your life. To your life. Sisters coming to your life. Come, catch a vibe. Let's ride. Let's ride. Let's ride. Come on, let's ride. Let's ride. Let's ride. Yeah. Sisters, we the family. Love Crystal and TT. Yeah. Fallon, that's me. Come, catch a vibe. Let's ride. Alright. Yeah. Come on, let's ride.
We are all married. And I would say us three women have pretty big personalities. Our husbands are very equal to that as well. With us having two dominant personalities in the home, how do you guys deal with that? How do you guys communicate effectively?
I would say for me, just being open. Being open when it comes to talking about stuff that is bothering me or on my mind, but also being open to listening as well when it comes to him having stuff on his mind that he needs or stuff that he wants to get off his chest. So realizing that my way isn't always the right way, so we'll say. But yeah, just being open to having those conversations and making sure that we talk with each other and not talk to each other.
I don't have an answer. That was a real question that I was asking y'all.
Well, I mean, I really, I do a lot of listening. It's hard to do that when you don't want to, but that's really how you kind of got to put yourself on the back burner and really open up your mind and listen and see where the problem is. Not necessarily figure out if you can fix it, but you have to figure out the problem first. And you have to listen. So that's really where you start. Once you listen, then it's a matter of coming together and not just figuring out a solution on your own. And that's another thing I had to learn. I'm not big on asking people for their opinions, and I've had to learn how to change that a lot.
So how, is there any tips that y'all have to make someone an effective communicator? Because what if they aren't? What if one person is and one person isn't? So both of y'all said you have to listen more. So if you are with someone who's not an effective communicator and you're always listening, but they ain't saying much or just don't know how to communicate, how do you balance that out, or how can you make someone an effective communicator?
So is it that they are not communicating in a way that you receive that communication?
Or is it that they're not open and willing to be communicating towards you?
I would say in either of those situations, like what if they're not, I guess communication is a two-way street, so both people have to understand. So if you're communicating in a way that, I think the last time we talked about, a lot of the time when people get into it, they are listening to respond, not listening to understand.
Right.
So that's the first thing, because you can tell when they respond, okay, you're not listening to me, you're just listening to respond. So I guess, how would you start there with getting someone to listen to understand and not listen to respond?
So it's like you have to ask those questions. So I say my piece. I say, what's going on, how I feel. And then asking like
can you repeat back to me what I'm saying?
Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Can you paraphrase to me what it is that I just told you? So that way I can make sure that we're both on the same page before we continue this conversation. A lot of the times whenever me and Dre do talk, that's one of the things that we might say to each other is, okay, can you tell me back what I said? I want to make sure that you actually heard me, that you were listening, not just you caught key words and key phrases of what I said, and that's what your response is based on. No, I want to make sure that at the end of this conversation, we both have a clear understanding of what it is that we're talking about. It's the same thing like when you think about work, when you work in customer service or whatever, right? And you're talking to a customer. You want to make sure you and your customer are on the same page so that way y'all can come to a resolution. So it's the same thing when it comes to your relationship or your marriage.
Yeah. And also, if that at times, especially during an argument, it's probably best to break the rest and walk away and give that time, because if you're not listening, then there's no point in arguing. There's no point in, yelling at each other. Let that die down, and then so that both of y'all can come back with a clear head and talk to each other. Because I think that was probably the very first lesson that I've learned in being married, is that you cannot talk to somebody when you're in a heated argument, because nobody's listening to anybody.
And you have, and like I said, you have to talk with each other and not to each other. I personally don't like being talked to as if I am a child. So don't talk to me, condescending or, like I'm a child. So let's have a conversation together and let's talk with each other versus me talking at you and you talking at me.
And I did just think of like 2 tips. One, have a communication conversation outside of an argument. Mm-hmm. So we're good. Everything is good. Hey, let's sit down and talk about how we communicate. That way you're not in a bad place or coming from a bad place. And then something that I used to do is, okay, if we need to talk about something, we're going to have a conversation and it's going to be all about you. I'm not even going to talk about my feelings. This is just going to be all about you. And later we'll have a conversation about the way that I feel. That way that person knows, hey, okay, they're listening. And right now I don't need to be listening to respond. I'm just listening to understand at that moment. And again, just putting your feelings aside at that moment to try to have better communication.
Yeah, because a lot of times when someone's wanting to have a conversation with you, they might not be looking for a resolution.
Right.
And that might be your thing is, okay, you tell me your problem, I'm going to come and try and solve it. Well, no, I didn't need you to solve it. I just wanted to talk to you so that way, probably in me talking to you, I'm going to figure it out in my head myself. Like, I just needed to talk to somebody to get it out. So having that understanding also of I'm talking to you so that way I can basically just vent, or I'm not talking to you because I need you to solve my problem. I really just want you to just listen to what it is that I have to say.
Yeah, that's another good tip, kind of setting the stage. Like, I need to talk to you, but I just need to vent. Mm-hmm. I need to talk to you, but I need to work out a solution to a problem that I have.
Sit back and take a ride. Pink panties coming to your life. Sisters coming to your life. Come, catch a vibe. Let's ride. Come on, let's ride. Yeah. Sisters, we the family. Love, Crystal and TT. Yeah. Fallon, that's me. Come, catch a vibe. Let's ride. Alright. Yeah. Come on, let's ride.